Oh, good evening. Had a long day. I went and got $8 worth of like soil, and I gotta go back and get some more. This is a big plant, and so I ended up actually walking for 3 hours because I went into this like so I went to the feedlot up on Peoples, and then I went over to BP of Horn Lakes and Non Brooks. And I walk in the door and first there's a lot of incense and it just knocks because I'm thinking, it really was one nice day though today. But when you walk, like over an hour, yeah, you get a little tired. And um so I went in there, I thought I'd feel some air conditioning or something. Well, the first thing that hit me was the incense. Then I looked at the guy that was in there, and the guy behind the counter, he's one that he always looks at me and goes, hey, what's wrong with you? You crazy. Does this shit to me. And I'm like, so I go in there, right? And like, I noticed like the taste also, not just the incense. And so like, and one guy's like one guy that's like on the other side of the counter, like the customer, and there's there's two guys customers in the place already, and the guy behind the counter, and so anyway, like, so he comes like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, you know what? I don't need to be in here." So he goes, "Well, get out." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm leaving." You know, as I was gonna do some business there, but as soon as he asked me, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm out of here." And so he comes behind the glass door, and that fool blew all of his crack smoke right in my motherfucking face. And I get it. He thinks everybody that hangs around there is crack fiend, even though I ain't never bought no stems or screens or any crack from the fellas, anything from like what do you say, like the stuff you need to use. But anyway, but everybody reminds me of this guy reminds me of a story. And right next to it is like where the best undercover police have like their little headquarters. They got like they was able to take over somebody's business there, and basically just an old bandit. Um, it looks abandoned, but you can tell they got their cars parked there. They finally cleaned up. It was so nasty. But anyway, which reminds me of a story about in Hell's Kitchen about like when I was a little girl. I remember they were telling me about like the like all they had to do was to be Irish and graduate from ninth grade, and you could get in the police force at one time. And right when like the Yugoslavians came in, you know, they were both like very jealous because like like they seen like the black people up in Harlem, like and the Puerto Ricans and everybody, that it wasn't Caucasian. Like they have money, they're able to buy clothes, to buy food. I guess where they like and not that the Irish wasn't able to do that, but like in Hell's Kitchen they had signs that said no Irish, sort of like here in Memphis they had signs that said no color, you know, cause like they, cause a lot of like they were just brought over like basically Indian slaves or whatever you might say. So, um, so anyway, their whole objective was when they got together with like some World War like two people that came over, so, some Jewish people. But anyway, they got the idea that to stop them from like being poor, that they would stop the blacks from making money. That they would replace it. So and but because like like it's like like they're able to buy food, they're able to buy clothes, it's like they're making more money, like they're able to buy cars and because a lot so like this was like really bothering them, because they're like I guess they're leaving a war that not necessarily like the Irish, they had been here a while, but the some of the Jews that came in and the Russians that came in at that time, like we would, they started fluctuating in really heavy after 1942, but they're big, 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 big. um, thing with a lot of Russians were leaving the Soviet Union and asking for asylum in the United States was in the like the 70s was big. But anyway, and so and the Russians was sort of like that when they came over, they were sort of in the sort of like you might say mostly in the sex industry. Uh, Europe has a big red light district, and a lot of the countries, and um, so so they basically they came in attacking the the weakest and the youngest children, of course, um, and just to like so like you could also see in the school they're talking about like now they have like special ed and all this stuff, opposed to where before if they was in your class, if they were in school, they were expected to learn the curriculum, uh, and they did, but now they didn't have to. They could just basically have them sitting there. So anyway, and so they're making money. They're burning down the Bronx because and like now where they burned all the Bronx down, which was all unnecessary. They built worse projects there, but the Russians in. They could have just, but that's part of the thing. Like you can look like at the Middle East, like you with the war there with Iran, like Syria and all that. The people are leaving that area because it's all bombed out. Uh, and then you know uh, other groups, maybe not, maybe not even the ones that were bombing it out might not even replace it, but um, it will be replaced probably mostly by Caucasians because they got a vast interest in the oil and other minerals that are in that region. But anyway, and then at this time in New York, at 42nd Street was a big thing. A lot of Irish and um, a lot of Europeans when they came after 42, they were Edison Island. If you were a single woman, basically you were going to be put out. If you didn't show up with a husband, showed up by yourself or anything like that. Say your husband's at war, he's coming later, or he died or whatever. They're gonna put you out in the street to make money because they're gonna house you. If you're coming over, you don't have no housing. You gotta have a job. You want to have food. So all this, you'll be indebted. That's where you get the indebted slave. It's sort of anyway, and plus, so they sold themselves into it to come here. So it held a lot of resentment because uh Europe in some places like after the World War II, Germany and all those in London were they had got blown to hell. So this was like another area. So anyways, but they had a master plan. We're gonna jail all the blacks, you kill all the blacks, and we'll get all their stuff. Like this they went after Motown. They got it. They closed down the color baseball league, so it's all white, based sports are now all owned by whites instead of. There's a lot of stuff that was here was owned by blacks, and when it was all black community or colored community, whatever they want to call it back then. Um, since they were separated, they owned all their business. They had their own banks, they had their own lawyers, they had their own dentists, they had their own teachers, and they were doing really well financially. Again, these people were jealous. They want what we had, cheating. So now, anyway, as the story goes, they're in the blackmailing, they're embezzlement, and they're laughing. They're saying, "Oh, look, they're not, like they're not with their kids. They're not babysitting their children, right? You don't see their kids like at the most, like you don't say with black people, mostly like maybe the mom's working, the dad's working, so like how they trust us to do like just hand over their children to us. We can do whatever the fuck we want to them. And basically, that's what they did. So anyway, so like they're thinking they're so smart and like their kids are gonna be above it. So anyway, so what happened was a lot of their kids turned into junkies. Um, when they changed the law and made marijuana illegal, like in New York, and the only you couldn't find no marijuana. All there was cocaine. This crack was everywhere because the streets were already flooded with cocaine because they were already bringing up cocaine was a big business uh, for the United States to be in. Uh, uh, you know, it generates a lot of money, and they just flooded the hood. Well, anyway, right? With it, and it was targeted, for blacks, because now you had a cocaine epidemic, you got an AIDS epidemic, and you got a lot of the propaganda saying we need more and longer sentence laws, so then you're housing more people. So anyway, as the story goes, like I guess they thought they were going to be above and aboard all this, and uh uh they the initial people, like, yeah, they had a little bit of money, whatever, but the same thing that they were trying to put on to just African Americans or Negroes or people of color, Puerto Ricans, anybody that's like is like the color of a brown paper sack or darker, basically. And anyway, the point about the story is there's this Staten Island, there's an old mental hospital, and they got in coerced with the sexual industry, it got in with the medical industry, with the basically pharmaceuticals. That's why they're pumping out all like the psych medicines, like which some of them like if you ever watch like SSI, like the TV show, police show, they pay X money to say, oh, he didn't take his meds, because like the side effects, a lot of it is like for some of them, uh, uh you could gain 80 pounds, become diabetic. You could have cysts that grow on. But anyway, the side effects is more devastating than the illness. Some of the side effects is irrational behavior, impulsive behavior, uh, 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 um, so like if you have impulsive and erratic behavior, it could make you more suicidal, homicidal. Some of them like what is that, Ramadan? It could make you, if you don't hear voices, you would hear voices with these meds. So like a lot of the side effects resembles the person like would be like maybe anxiety attack or maybe have other problems, but with the meds, uh, they would become psychotic in some cases. But anyway, right? So their kids are taking meds, and their kids are smarter, right? So they're taking so they're getting pharmaceutical meds. The doctors are happy; they're getting free trips to London, Europe, wherever, South America, where they want to go. And this is like these doctors there, most of them they were drafted, so all their schooling was pretty much paid for by they most of them did their internship with the military. So you have the doctors, you got the Russians, which is like the Russian and Chinese was like together in the mafia with um um uh trafficking people, women mostly, because it's the easiest way to once you have the women, it's the easiest way to just devastate that community. If you jeopardize the women, prostitute the women, and the men that they coerce to do it, they flip them like later on, like now, like I noticed them, like this one guy, he was a black guy, he was young, handsome, he was on to college in Columbia, and he got approached like everybody did at that time. I did, but not to be a prostitute, but approached by these people. Um, um, excuse me, excuse me. Well, anyway, so pretty much like he's knocking out, his own people, black women, thinking he's a pimp and everything, and thinking he's really, in the business. And, his like their whole thing is like they don't want, they, what I'm saying? That's why, like, you have to whoop these kids because, see, if you get them, because like the pimps, like they're notorious for slapping the women or beating the women. Well, you got to get trained to like to where you are going to do the behavior that to continue to get beat, so you continue to stay, and there's a revolving door. So anyway, I'm bringing it back up to modern time. I'm gonna get better at storytelling. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna write them down first. But anyway, getting back to modern time. So out in Staten Island, they find a bunch of their children, white kids, that um, uh, in the Bronx, they find, and in some parts in New Jersey, whatever. Like some of these policemen that went there, like they getting out. They couldn't afford to live in Manhattan anyway, but like they getting out because they gonna live better. They they didn't check out where they were moved at because their pay scale is only to still, even if they're investing in blackmailing, it's they they're just not anyway, thinking past their ass in a sense. So they ended up they end up with a bunch of dead children out there in the old institution, and of course, like since the police was in bed with some of the doctors, because of over selling the pharmaceuticals, and then I guess what happened is and then their daughters and their sons were not faring as well because with them dumbing down like sort of the black community, the African community, and just passing those kids basically because they're white and allowing them to cheat and and of course they're going to learn something because the teacher's going to give them something, but they're not getting the right information. But anyway, so they start having problems with their kids with AD and HD. Then their kids decided, like, well, we're gonna be smarter than blacks and waste our money on crack. You could go to, do a long time. So they made crystal meth. Crystal meth turned out to be worse than crack on their teeth, their skin, their organs, like their lungs, their hearts, the kidneys, the liver. At the same time, you gotta understand the poor area they're giving plasma, so you're giving your white blood cells. Your white blood cells, basically what they call the T cells. But if you ever like pop a pimple and that white pus that comes out, that's your white blood cells when they lost the battle. So you have well, let's just say you gave some of your plasma, right? So you don't have anything immune against you. And say you go out, you make that little bit, $20, whatever, and you buy a meal, maybe have something to drink, and so you and your friend, they have sex, right? Say she has syphilis, maybe she's trying to make money on the side, up in the Bronx somewhere, Fifth Avenue somewhere, 42nd Street, make a little extra money because she's poor. That's why he's giving plasma. So she might have, turned a couple of tricks. She got syphilis. So now you have sex with him, with this guy who doesn't have, because he gave plasma, he doesn't have anything, doesn't have no white blood cells to fight off anything. So then he has uncurable syphilis. And so then, so what happened after that is like AIDS got invented. So you have the AIDS will make the syphilis go up quicker. So these people were coming up with pockets of just pus. Ankles, legs swollen pus. All around here area, it's swollen pus. It's affecting the men's prostate glands. Uh, the syphilis gets in every organ, your brain, your kidney, your liver. It hides in different parts of your body. It gets in your bones and all this stuff. So, you'll see they'll have problems walking. Anyway, so the story goes. The ending of the story basically is that we had in the 70s some propaganda to house blacks mostly in jail, so that it wouldn't supposedly happen to the whites again. Uh, but uh, uh, they were devastated as much as the black community and impact. And you can see like even like as today that the laws and the medical community uh, had caused a devastation in this community that has allowed uh, their constitution and our civil rights uh, to be breached in such a way that now we have outside foreign interests uh, uh, basically draining the money right out of our community, our businesses, and it has to change. And I guess the first thing they attacked was the schools, was the females. Like and really the children, because they know they could get away with it. Because like in the black community, they had black people walking around like, yeah, when I was little, yeah, the neighbor could go with me, and then I could go home and my mama would be. So you, they know that a complete stranger could do whatever they want to the child. You know, the child start crying, so they're gonna go tell the mom to beat the hell out of them. And then when the child goes home, mama, so hit me. What do you do? And just hit them. Not like, oh baby, come here, sit down. Let me clean that up so you won't get an infection. Now tell me everything. Who did this? You know what I'm saying? Not that you have to go down there and kill a person, but you know what I'm saying? And the key thing is that especially during the years starting at around 9 and up, our children should be supervised by their parents, or hang out in a group with the brothers and sisters or peers their age, and not have any you know anyway, things are changing. And can't depend on somebody else to raise your kids, so you might have to you know get in there, and at least for uh 15 to 20 minutes a day you do some schooling with them. you know anyway, so that's the story on how um uh basically um you might say the whole crack epidemic started. It started with outside interests, people with people that but the whole purpose is like to to get rich off of the suffering of another group, and make them the goat and the fall guy. But the only thing is like, let's just say like Russia and China and all that, like they might be very very smart, because like as long as we have us devastating and housing and jeopardizing our women and abusing our children in such a harmful way, it's easy for them to come in. Look at Putin now. Russia and China is coming up with something, because let me tell you something, they're not very happy. What are they not happy about? I don't know. Maybe who knows? But we got all we China's making a lot of money off of us not being the manufacturer that we are, then, and then we're just in the service industry. But anyway, I'll talk way too long. Good night.